To make a long story short, the relationship that we have to the non-physical and our dreams, particularly to our dreams, is the true evolution and revolution that I'm seeing we're moving into. Some of the things that stand in the way of this evolution are our attachments to the physical reality. And some of the attachments that we have are so in close relationship with the non-physical versions of ourselves. What I'm saying is that over time, they actually become a hindrance to our macro evolution. And that's basically the epicenter where I'm coming from this perspective on making ourselves or bringing ourselves even closer to the more intricate versions of who we are and who we think we are as non-physical gods. There's a lot of flowery dancing around the belief systems of us being not only an expression of what we call God, but the actual manifestation of God. It seems that the physical reality, like the ego, keeps popping up in our perspective, like chaos gets thrown in the mix with order. It continually adds to the flavor, it adds to the spice, it adds to the ability to consistently expand and grow. This is what I'm saying is happening with our relationship to our dreams, and why our relationship to our dreams is such a threat to the so-called powers that be of this physical reality. A bit of a backstory on my relationship to dreams. I remember dreaming when I was 2 years old. There's a lot of videos on this channel where I share a lot of my dreams, interpret a lot of the dream realm, not necessarily the dreams themselves. You'll see a lot of videos people do on dreams are about dream interpretations, but not many people go into dream realm interpretations. That's where I focus my attention on, because I've been dreaming for so long. I understand and have understood many of the themes and the lessons that are shown to us and presented to us over a lifespan of dreaming. I shared this actually in an earlier video. There was, and it'd be a real trip if some of the people who were part of this group in Oakland, it was in East Oakland. When I was in kindergarten, this particular elementary school in East Oakland, I was very independent from a very young age. I used to walk to school. I've been tested a lot, and I don't think I've told this story on here, but for those who are kind of old school, this is just a side note, but this is very much a part of the dream conversation, because just like dreams, we get tested. In the physical reality, we get tested, and this is a weird sort of in-between test that could have really shaken me out of the dream realm, but it really didn't. It just kind of, spooked me for a moment. So I'm walking home from school, kindergarten. This is a completely true story. I'm walking home from school, and this was during the 80s, so this was 87 time frame. I was in kindergarten. Walking home from school, and I see who I think to be the actor who plays Freddy Krueger walking towards me on the same sidewalk that I'm walking as I'm walking home from school, kindergarten. I'm sure the look on my face was of the look of being terrified, and I'm sure he saw this, and this was the reason why he started to cross the street before we came into contact. So I'm watching him as I'm walking down, he's walking towards me. I'm watching him cross the street, and I'm just staring at him go the whole way as I'm walking a little bit faster and faster. And I'm like, that is Freddy Krueger. And for those who haven't seen Freddy Krueger in any of the movies, the actor's name is Robert Englund. He is Robert Englund in the movie, to where he's not just always burned, like you can see his actual face. So I see him, and it's a very surreal experience watching a nightmare character in real life, to where I didn't really care. I knew what was up, so I just, as soon as he got towards level with me and I couldn't see him anymore, I took off running. I ran home. And I told my mom what had happened. And I remember her just being like, "Get the hell out of here. You're lying. There's no Freddy Krueger out there," trying to calm my nerves and also get me the hell out of the way. But she didn't believe me. And then later on that day, I think it was like some of my cousins or my uncle, somebody came in the house later and said, "I just saw Freddy Krueger." And I told her, I said, "I told you. But come to find out later, Robert Englund lived in Alameda. He probably still lives out there, which is just a city right across. It's a little island city connected to Oakland. But what was weird was, for that specific movie, is because it was based upon dreams, in particular nightmares, and going in between, like the dream realm blending in with the physical reality and the nightmares coming to life. That's what was a real trip, and that really had the potential to break me down and break me out of these dreams. The extra deep thing that was going on there was, at that particular time when I was going to school, dreams were a bigger part of my life than the physical reality in many different ways, because once I went to elementary school, we had to get on this schedule. The bell rang. Like, I was having problems with my relationship to my dreams, because having to wake up so early in the morning and having immediately have all these responsibilities to take care of in order to go to school was making me forget a lot of my dreams. And that was a big deal for me at that time. I was like, no, these are very important. Like, I really had this deep relationship with my dreams, so much so that the kids that I knew at that time in school, I used to talk to my friends about this, and they would say the same thing, because we had these flying dreams, and being around elementary kids, like a big group of kids, this was a time where you could actually cross-reference your dreams and ask your friends, like, "Are you dreaming?" Like, because I'm dreaming, but I'm like flying like every day, and I could do all these things in dreams. And other kids say, "Yeah, I fly too." And a lot of the times the parents don't have time, or they don't have any relationship with their dreams too, because their parents cut down that. And you have like work and the separation. The same way school separates kids from their dreams, the workplace or the work time schedule for parents and their responsibilities for survival separates parents from their kids. So these are all the separations that are ingrained in the accepted reality that I'm saying are a part of not only slowing down the evolution of the individual, but slowing down the evolution of the macro relationship we have with this experience. And there is, what I'm saying, I'll go in deeper into the theory, there's an end game to this, and it has to do with the non-physical intelligences that have, some people say, have been trapped here, who I'm saying are very much part of keeping the de-evolution program going, because their dominion over us is maintaining their dominion over the realm. So the dominion over the micro is maintaining the dominion over the macro. And just as much as we are non-physical beings in a physical experience, who's to say there aren't non-physical beings having a non-physical experience? And that non-physical experience is threatened by our having the ability to both have a non-physical experience and a physical experience. So you have two experiences with one anchor point here. So we actually have a stronger relationship with this experience than those who previously had more of a connection to this place and this experience than we do. And time is all enveloped in this too. This is why I'm saying time is such a big deal. In a sense, consuming our time, you're consuming the consciousness, you're consuming the energy, you're consuming the focus of not only the individual, but the reflection of that is the macro. And there's a purpose here with consuming your time, because you're allowing the openings of the individuals, which is a reflection of the macro. You're allowing the openings, the open channels, and this is channeling is also part of this too, my perspectives on this. But channeling time is channeling energy, which is channeling the experience overall and the control of the experience overall. I'll get more into control, more so my perspective on that, because of a recent dream that I had. To finish off the experience I had as a kid, every day I would run to school. I remember running to school to get there as soon as I could before the bell, because, and you got to think about this too, the relationship bell, running to, like, the bell consuming your time, Baal consuming your time and consuming your dreams, consuming your growth as a non-physical being. So running to school to have more time to share my dreams with my friends, we would do this every day, because over time we were losing our dreams and they became less important. But to us, we were like, what's more important than flying? What's more important than being able to be a part of an experience that is, unbelievable? It's unbelievable what you can do in your dreams. So that was a big threat. And kids who grow up on their own at a very young age can see how, and in certain situations, you can see how the adults are kind of hampering on your dreams in many different ways, because they want you to be like them. And that's because their parents did the same thing, and society creates that identity. Everything, you have to be a mirror image of your previous generations. Where we're in right now is we have many different generations of slaves who are wanting the future generations to be better slaves. And there's more intricacies into why and how. So we can't really see it. So since you can't see it, nobody can fight it. Beyond that, this response to the authority against our dreams was created in a space that we called our team. The team of us, we called us Team Time Invisible. And mind you, we're 5 years old. This is like a group of 5, 6, and a few rotating in and out that came every now and again and then disappeared. But there was a central group of like 5 of us who would like get in a little corner where it's quiet and just cross-reference our dreams and share what we could do and where we went and kind of like the themes and everything. So looking back on that, like the pure interpretation of this experience from a group of 5 and 6 year olds, we had already seen that time, there's something to do with time, because the relationship that we have to time in dreams was different than the relationship that we had here. It was slower here. In dreams, you can fall asleep for 5 minutes and you can have 8-hour dream or something like that. You can, over time, you can have so much, you can do so much in dreams. So there was something wrong. There was something off with this place. Like because we were thinking and interacting and experiencing with these dreams on a level of, we were fluid with the dream realm. And there was a serious lack of fluidity here in this place. So in order to maintain our relationship with that high velocity reality, that's what we did. We came together and started sharing our dreams as Team Time Invisible. So that's basically where my relationship with my dreams came from, where it stemmed, and where it kind of set the foundation for who I am now. Who I am now is a big reflection of who I am in my dream space. When you, over time, face these nightmares, these demons in your nightmares, when you face things that are not of this world at a very young age, and then you do it and as you're older, and then you do it again as you're older, and you do it again as you're older, that builds up a strength in your both non-physical and physical expressions of yourself. This is why I'm saying dreams are so important, especially for people who have kids right now. Please invest in the time that these kids need to express and share their dreams with you, because like I said, this is their non-physical versions of themselves. The deeper expressions of their selves will become more of who they are in the physical reality if they are allowed, and not only allowed but ushered into a deeper relationship with that space with the help of, with the support of their family. A lot of the times in this narcissistic realm, pretty much, a lot of parents don't want to invest that time because of control measures and because of, like I said, the mirroring, like the keeping kids to a bubble of a mere reflection of themselves. A lot of, in that narcissistic world, some parents don't want their kids to grow beyond who and what they were. So imagination is part of that. Imagination, you need to be brought down a lot of the times. So closing off the support line of children's dreams is a way of bringing down your children, because think about how much time a child who isn't limited to the time constraints that we have as adults. We have this relationship with time based upon years and years and years and years of experience, to where kids are brand new and their relationship in time with time is not as thick as ours, and that means their dreams are very important to them, and their experiences in those dreams are very important to them. So to, in a sense, attack that relationship by not supporting it, you're in many ways damaging their relationship with themselves, obviously damaging their relationship with you, but even more so damaging their relationship with this entire experience, because it's locking them into the time chains, and also at the same time locking them out of the expressions of themselves that are beyond time and more powerful in many different ways. So you can see how, just by me breaking down my interpretation of dreams, how this attack on our non-physical versions of ourselves can affect not only the individual, but adversely affect the macro evolution overall. To consume our reality with the physical time is to attack and sacrifice our relationship with non-physical time, or the non-physical reality. So there are tools that actually do this. They're not necessarily what we think they are. Like I said before, the jobs, the schools, those are the two main ones, jobs and schools. Making jobs and schools directly related to your survival, your basic human needs, is a broad spectrum like attack on your relationship to that non-physical reality and time and the dream space overall. In previous videos, I've mentioned cannabis as a big tool that can be seen as a weapon against our evolution. How I've broken this down recently is that there's a lot of resistance towards me even talking about cannabis being a problem, because of the benefits that cannabis has. What I'm saying is that I'm not saying that there aren't benefits of cannabis. What I'm saying is that the benefits that cannabis brings to our reality overall, when you compare them to the micro and the macro, cannabis is largely focused on the micro, the individual. It helps you up to a certain point. What I'm saying is that once you reach that point of help, of health, of evolving the body and the mind and your relationship with others on a micro scale, once you reach a certain point, just like any other tool, after that point has been reached, it starts to work against you. And what I'm saying is that it doesn't necessarily work against you on the micro scale, but you could argue that at the same time, the laziness that comes with a lot of people, and I'm not saying this is across the board, a lot of people get energy from cannabis, but what I'm saying overall, there's a lot of people who can attest to the fact that there's a lot of laziness that happens, and that physical laziness is not just existing in the physical reality. It's existing in your psyche, and it's existing in your creative ability. What I'm saying is even more important than that is there's a laziness and an energetic reflection of that that's happening on a macro scale. So once you reach the peak of cannabis's evolutionary potentialities on the individual, the micro scale, what I'm saying is that that hindrance comes on a macro scale to where we won't be allowed as more than the individual to evolve past a certain point until we let go of a lot of the micro attachments that we have. This is confirmed with, food. People can only go so far. It's such an easy interpretation of food and that relationship we have. People can't run as far, they can't go as far if they're completely weighed down by food. Take it a step even further, genetically modified foods, these foods that are hampering on our stomach brain. We don't even know what our relationship our stomach brain has with all of our energy centers, because that's a threat to the social power structure. So going back to the cannabis conversation, from my own experience, my own observations that have been confirmed by many different people, not everybody, but many different people, I would say the vast majority of people have shared with me my experience of cannabis having a very, very detrimental effect on our dreams and our ability to remember and connect with our dreams. This was a big reason why I stopped smoking many different times over the last few years, but even more so recently, having cut it out completely. Not to mention the clarity that I have overall of having a system, free of anything. I'll still drink a beer every now and again, but this is different than having something in your system consistently over time. And I'll get into the alcohol version or the alcohol attack on our reality. You can see that with cigarettes and alcohol. This is going into our channels, our what I'm saying is we're built up of doors. Just imagine like a little door here, a big door here, a little door here, a big door here, like these doorways that are opening and closing, just like your heartbeat over time. And these energies, as they go in, open and close, in and out, you're expanding yourself, every version of yourself. And these open and close channels, as they open and close like an engine, when you interact with people, they either speed up or close down. They speed up or slow down with other people. And in that interaction, you're either contracting or expanding each other. And when we focus too much on the item like cannabis or alcohol and cigarettes, that's a big part of why we don't change things, because we don't see ourselves as these non-physical beings. That's another trap to trap us in the interpretations of or the breakdowns of this physical thing. Like, it's the problem. It's not you. It's not the how you're reacting with this thing. It's the thing. So, outlaw cannabis and outlaw, do this and do that. What that's doing is that's taking the attention off of you, and also simultaneously adding power to the authority who has now criminalized and even what I'm saying, decriminalizing cannabis. This is all part of the evolution de-evolution program that I'm talking about. So back to the cannabis breakdown. I've seen that cannabis really, really stops your dreams and stops the ability to recall them, and really kind of creates this haze over time. There's this haze that I don't have, this fogginess that I don't have anymore, because there's like a fogginess of when you're smoking all the time. If you're not smoking, then you're thinking about when you're going to be smoking again. That's the fog. That's part of the fogginess that I'm talking about, that consumes your time and consumes your focus. When you don't have that fog in your reality at all, where does that energy go? It goes straight into your creative juices. It goes straight into your creative fires, because you're not, your attention isn't consciously and subconsciously being pulled away. Just on like a mathematical interpretation of it, to not have cannabis in your system like an alcoholic. It's just the same thing. Like when they're not drinking, they're thinking about drinking, when their next drink is going to be. Same thing with cigarette smokers. And when they're not smoking, a lot of their energy is, being pulled away to when their next cigarette break will be. What I'm saying is that that's pulling away your time, pulling away your focus, pulling away your energy. Your non-physical versions of yourselves are being affected. On a deeper level, cannabis has a deeper attachment. It has a deeper effect on our evolution. This, what I'm saying, is very important, because when I bring up any kind of conversation about cannabis, a lot of people's immediate response is, well, the body has endocannabinoids in our system, and it receives this plant that's very natural and all this other stuff. Like, I'm not saying that stuff doesn't exist. What I'm saying is that just because your body has an endocannabinoid system, who then says that that's a good thing? Because there are trap doors in everything that's out there. These are all tools. Like I said before, these tools are tools to be used to achieve a certain thing, to get to a certain point. Once you get to that certain point, if you continue to carry those tools around in your tool belt, they will eventually weigh you down from getting to that next step. That next step is, what I'm saying, is that moving from the physical to the non-physical, from the micro to the macro. A lot of the reasons why I'm seeing is that things are not changing at the velocity of people think that they should be changing or would like them to change, is because of our attachments to these physical things. Look at the endocannabinoid system. That's a physical thing that people are holding on to. I'm talking about non-physical dreams. I'm talking about your non-physical relationship to other people, to the macro overall. So to see that cannabis directly affects your relationship with dreams adversely, to see that is telling me that there's something to look at here. There's something more to the story than just like cannabis is a plant, we have an endocannabinoid system, and it's our relationship with nature, it's great and all that other stuff. No. Not to mention the obvious fact of cannabis being now pushed by the government. People might not see that completely now, but it's coming. And from my perspective, and as far as like you see these manipulators, there's a win-win in this situation when you can see that the system is, 10 to 100 steps ahead of us. By criminalizing cannabis, knowing that we already had this is why it was criminalized. At that time, it separated us from our evolution, our microevolution, our coming together, our expanding our minds. At that time, you not only stopped that progress, but you also put the beings who are making that connection in jails. You pulled them apart. You've broken that community, and now you've broken that power structure. Now you get more power for you. You get more authority for you. You've criminalized something that was beneficial for the evolution of the individual. And now you have all of these magicians and these creative artists that are locked away. And you lock away a lot of the individuals. You lock away a lot of that macro energy. Keep that locked away. Keep it tucked away over time. Like keeping something positive away from somebody, it just makes them want that even more. So, like I said, these beings, these entities are very aware of this experience. So what I'm saying right now, as far as if you're in agreement with any of the things that I'm saying, as far as like how cannabis affects you on the micro and the macro, then you would know that these both physical and non-physical beings back in the day were also aware of this information. So to criminalize it, you steal more time, because you keep the evolution through locking up the artists, you keep them off the streets, you keep them out of the community. You're maintaining a slowing down of time of the physical reality. You're maintaining that for yourself, and you're also making people want this even more. And when it's time, when you can no longer, because the evolution of the experience can only be stifled for so long, once it reaches a certain point without those extra tools, that's when you bring it back. And because people have been broken down, and their relationships with each other, with themselves and each other, and plant medicine overall is so jacked up, they're not even going to know what to do. And so a lot of their creative receivers of this plant medicine is going to be channeled into what was now put in place over time. So you can see this is why people are playing video games so much. So a lot of the energies that would be put into growing, evolving themselves is now being siphoned away into things that are now paying into more time stealers. So now you have technology, computers, games, social media, politics overall, the education system, how much time and energy people are going to school, and you taking out loans to go to school. That takes time to go to school. Then you have to go to work to pay off the loans. That takes more time. You're not even in a situation to where you're comfortable. You can't have your house yet because you're still paying off loans. And then you have these relationships to these materialistic things to where now you have a car and these loans, and you have to look a certain way, so you're paying off the cars and the loans, and women are doing all these surgeries, and men are spending all their money on this nonsensical garbage that the mainstream media is selling as a better version of who you are. So you can see your time is being siphoned away into oblivion. And what I'm saying is that there's an intelligent design behind that. There's a purpose behind that. These non-physical entities are evolving themselves and maintaining dominion over the energetic wavelengths that are accessible to us if we tap into them. If we are unaware of them, then where does that energy go? Does it just go away? No, what I'm saying is that it gets channeled into these non-physical entities that are aware of how this realm works and how our non-physical experiences interact with this experience. So back to the channels and doorways, us being seen as energy portals, in and out energy going in and out, you can see things like alcohol, drugs, prescription drugs, cigarettes, anything that affects our physical vessels is going to affect the non-physical reality. So the more damage you do to your energy channels, the more open you're going to be to non-physical energy parasites. So this is why stuff like alcohol is legal and promoted so much, because largely it opens up your channels to deal with a lot of the things that are going wrong with society. So this is why making the experience just total garbage is beneficial to the non-physical beings. Why there's seemingly so much chaos, and there's a profit over chaos. Just the same way as they're the pop culture, the colonial experience seemingly loves war and needs war, is because there's a get back, there's a profit off of that. And I'm saying it's not only in a physical reality, there's a profit on a non-physical reality. And these non-physical parasites are in many different ways pushing that intelligence of maintaining chaos onto these physical beings through these channels of these physical beings, in order to maintain that chaos as a means of maintaining their dominion over the overall energy of this realm. So they will use any kind of tool and any kind of psychological tool, non-physical tool, in order to maintain that on the short term and the long term. So what I'm saying is that cannabis has been used over time and as of now as a means of separating us from our dreams. So now, since we have evolved to a certain point we have this relationship with our non-physical expressions outside of religion, this is when cannabis is being pushed onto society now to close off your relationship to your dreams, under the guise of making that relationship more connected, because you have all these promoters of this place, of the promoters of that experience saying, you know, my creativity, everything is expanding and all this other stuff. I'm not saying that that doesn't exist. What I'm saying is that it's up to a certain point, and it's a tool, and you do not need that tool to not only get to those peaks, but go beyond those peaks. That's my point. On a macro scale, it's more of a hindrance than anything. On a micro scale, it only helps up to a certain point. To give a little bit more of an insight in closing of this video to the non-physical beings, my personal interactions with this. My most recent and most lucid dream that I had was about 3 weeks ago. I don't want to get too much into breaking down the whole dream realm and, you know, how dreams work. If you're interested in that, look into there's a playlist on this channel called Dreams where I break that down in many different ways. But to make a long story short, there are themes that really maintain your interaction with dreams and let's see, a good way to break it down would be when you're a brand new dreamer, you're really thinking linearly, consciously. There's a nightmare character there. Your emotions get triggered. Your emotions are linear consciousness, and your linear consciousness breaks the non-linear subconscious experience, which is the dream realm. So as a kid, in order to keep you from going deeper into that space, nightmares affect you, and nightmares are promoted by television, going back to that Freddy Krueger experience. So once you evolve past the limiting your non-linear experience because of linear hindrance, you get into a space of themes, and you realize that you can become lucid in a space that, because you're not limited to your conscious space, so you become lucid in that dream space. Once you start becoming lucid in that dream space, then the themes get more intricate because you can focus more, not only on an individual thing, but you can focus on the overall experience. So the themes become more complex, and it's the theme now that keeps you in the dream space. Instead, before it was a character or an individual thing that, like you, and that keeps you there. So now the themes are what maintain your connection there, that maintain your attention in that dream space. So what I've realized over time is that there are only a few themes that can maintain your space, because there are only a few themes in your waking space that maintain your focus. For example, school is a big dream theme that a lot of people have. A lot of people have dreams in school because there's a lot of time that's spent there, a lot of anchor points that are spent there. You're also interacting with a lot of other dreamers there, and it's a whole world of not only distraction but focus. So that's a good theme that will maintain your space. Another dream theme is the home, whatever home. I moved around a lot as a child. We had a lot of different homes, so there's a lot of different themes, which actually made it harder because, you know, you're thinking about time, and time is another thing that kind of affects your ability to hold on and experience in a dream. So home, the school, and another theme that I have are parties. Parties are a big theme because there's a lot of people, again, you're emotionally up. So when you're emotionally up, you're focused on that dream, which maintains the dream realm through the theme. Another theme is hospitals. These are like kind of those are the main ones, but the subcategories are like hospitals. There's a lot of elevator dreams that I have. Personally, hotels are another one, to where like mainly the lobby of a hotel, because there's always an elevator there. You can go into the symbolism of the hotel, and then the elevator, and then that whole thing. People go deep into that dream interpretation. I'm not really worried about that because I want to go over the overall theme. But that relationship to schools and that whole thing, and as far as maintaining the theme. So I won't go into that. I've gone deeper into that in previous videos, but just as a basic breakdown of to kind of set up this latest dream. The latest dream that I had that was extremely lucid was I was at home. I immediately, it's like I just fell asleep, immediately became lucid. And when I'm in that space, and sometimes I want to fly immediately, because that's the most freeing feeling that you can have in a dream. And you can also go to other places and, switch, experience different things. But for whatever reason, this dream, I was very, very lucid. I was very, very conscious. I was like more of myself, my waking self in my dream than I had ever felt before. So this felt like a different theme. It felt like almost like a control center, like I wasn't supposed to be there. I wasn't supposed to be there with that kind of conscious awareness. That's what I felt like, and I felt that from the beginning, which is why I kind of immediately walked towards the door to go outside and started to fly. So this is exactly what I did. I was like, oh, I'm in a dream. Oh shit, let's go outside. I'm gonna fly right now. Let's go. So as I was walking, there was something different about the time. There's another thing once you start realizing dreams or dream even more. Movement over, like the dream itself moves as you're walking, because you can just see right here everything in front of you. That's another way to become more lucid, because as you're moving, it doesn't move like here. There's a fuzziness that's here, and there's a creative sort of in and outness of the experience as you're moving, that just makes you more and more lucid if you're a like professional lucid dreamer or dreamer. But something with that movement was very different. It was more clear because I was more conscious. So it was, the sharpness was there and the focus was there. And it felt like even more so that there was like a world in between the dream and the waking space, to where it was, instead of being a transitional space, it was an actual world. It was more tangible, basically. So I grabbed the door. I felt the door. It's very different from regular dreams. I felt the door. I opened it. It moved faster than before. And I walked outside. I walked faster than I would usually in a dream. And when I got out there, I immediately started to fly. And I got up, and the dream was different. Like the surrounding spaces of my home were very different, but that was expected. I was like, oh, well, obviously that it's always like that. There's going to be something different in each dream. And that's another tip, dream tip. If you want to become lucid, focus on the details and pinpoint what's different. So if you have a home dream, pinpoint what's different around your home, and then keep pinpointing that. And that pinpointing is bringing more consciousness into that dream, and then you can become lucid in that dream. A trick that's known for people is to play with the lights. Well, that's just to get your attention, because the lights going on and off, they don't work in the dreams, because the theme of the dream has its own light, and that light is your imaginative projection. So turning on a switch doesn't necessarily connect to light, because turning on and off a light will affect the entire dream. And if you turn off that light, there's a good chance that it'll go dark, and then you'll go into another dream. That's why lights don't work in dreams. But it's not the lights that's making you more lucid. It's your focus on the surroundings of that experience that's actually making you lucid in those dreams. So that's why I said, like, focus on your focus is what brings you into a lucid space. So as I'm going outside, I immediately start flying. I'm looking around. I can see my neighbors. My neighbors are in different houses, in different setups, because that's how dreams are. And I'm just like, okay, well, he's supposed to be over there. They're supposed to be over there. What are they doing over there? That's weird. And the dream was very kind of like annoying at this point. I was like, what the hell am I doing here? Like, what's going on? Like, this is just a regular ass dream again. Like, I was just stuck, kind of annoyed with the dream. And I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to go. I'm just going to fly, because I've in previous dreams, I've flown straight up through, as far up as I can go. I've flown through the light blue to the darker blue, to the blackness, to the cold. I could feel the cold going down my arm as I was reaching up to go through, blacking out into another space. I felt all of that going upwards. I was unimpressed with it. Like after you do it, it's not something that you want to do anymore. It's like in the dream space, you know what's up there. So now what else is there to do once you are no longer limited by the dream theme, the dream world of the physical dreams, like how you interpret the physicalness of a dream? What's left? After that, what I'm saying from my own experience is that once you break that space, you're now into another level of dreaming, another level of lucidity that allows you, now this is just all my theory based upon this experience and my relationship with dreams over time, it allows you to start moving and changing things not only in the dream realm but in the physical reality. Because like I said, you're bringing your consciousness into a subconscious non-physical reality. If you're bringing that in there, then a big part of your waking space is in there. You're now working from a deeper part of yourself that's not only going to affect the non-physical reality, it's going to affect the physical reality. Now just imagine if millions of people started doing this, bringing their conscious intent, their conscious focus from this space to a non-physical space and started playing with the controls, the control panels of this realm. Just imagine that. That's where my mind was in this dream. And that's where I was going with it. And at that point, when I was at that space and had that realization in the dream, I started to hear these, there weren't necessarily voices, but they were like, I started to hear information being projected by, because there's like telepathy, like is telepathy a voice? No, but you hear something. And in dreams, another side note, a lot of, when you're lucid dreaming, a lot of the interactions, the communication is based upon telepathy. So I was hearing this telepathic intelligence, more than one, two, possibly three, saying, stop that, stop that. Not telling me to stop that, but telling each other to stop him, stop that. Like, fuck with the controls so he can't go any further. And how this was affecting me in my dream is that as soon as I had that feeling, that powerful sort of like, I can do something, but I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to, fly to an ocean, because this is what I used to do as a kid. It was like, oh, I'll fly to the beach and, and then I would find like some caves or go over the water and look for fish and do all this other stuff. I was no longer consumed with any of that anymore. So what do you want to do there? Just like from a kid growing up to an adult, your experience becomes non-physical. So you want to do more in a non-physical experience. So what would that experience be in the dream? We can see it when you're in a waking space. We start to express ourselves differently. We start to relate differently in personal relationships, romantic relationships, spiritual relationships. That's all more energy. How would that express itself in the dream realm? What I'm saying is that dream realm, which is a big part of our time in this overall experience, there's an effect in there that we can do on a micro scale, but on a macro scale, there's things that we can do there that will change a lot and affect a lot for the better if we were to tune into that. And then that's why I was saying even before, why there are things to separate us from our dreams. Prescription drugs, what I'm saying now, cannabis being pushed even more so. Alcohol makes you black out. You're not going to dream and all this other stuff. The bell, the time, your relationship with time, the work, all these things put together. Is there an intention there that relates to your dreams? If there was something positive for that dream space, would the intelligences that are physical and non-physical want to separate you from that? Yes. So that telepathic sort of blocking that was happening, because this is why I realized it was a block that wasn't me. It was more than me experiencing this thing that was happening. Because in that dream, when I was completely conscious, or not completely, but very conscious in that dream space, I was pissed off. I was mad. I was like, what the first of all, what the fuck is that voice saying stop that? Like, I am the experiencer of this dream. Who the fuck is anything or anybody else to tell me what I can and can't do? Because I don't think I finished saying what it was doing. Once I had that space of, okay, I'm done with this dream. I'm going to fly out of this parking lot and then go over here and start, observing things and then tapping deeper into the dream realm. My ability to fly was being fucked with. And as that telepathic intelligence was saying stop that, they were turning down, I say they, because there's some kind of intelligence in that space, just like now. There's a non-physical intelligence fucking with you on a microspace and in the overall macro that is the same way you would have assholes or people fucking with you on a physical level. Well, if you have people who are for, a positive expression, you're going to have people who are of a negative expression physically. Well, who's to say that doesn't exist non-physically? Who's to say that doesn't exist in your dreams? Who's to say that there isn't something like that that's affecting both your physical and your non-physical and your dreams? This is what I'm saying is happening. And a lot of people can, back this up with whatever you want to name these non-physical entities. I personally don't go into naming a lot of the non-physical entities because what that does from my perspective is it gives these non-physical entities a space. And when you give that non-physical entity a space, it gives it an ability to escape that space. So as soon as you put something onto it, you immediately don't know what it is because you've locked it down to a particular identity. And you're creating your own lack of deeper knowingness because of your perceived knowingness. That's what I'm saying. The deeper we go into thinking we know what we know, it gets to that point to you're separating yourself because you've put too much of yourself on there. What I'm saying is that as you experience, especially in the dreams, and this goes into your mind interacting with dream characters overall, you have to really have no attachments. You have to let go of a lot of things in your dreams in order to maintain like a lucid dream. And that's also a strength in your dreams when you're dreaming. If you have any conscious like attachments to it, the dream is going to break. Something's going to especially in dreams, your dreams become your emotional attachments, anything like that, it's only going to limit your ability in those dreams. So this is what I'm saying. If that happens in a non-physical dream space, then that also happens in the physical awaking space. So as I was flying and seeing all of this happening and hearing and feeling all of this happening, just listening to basically like somebody say, don't let him do that. Don't stop that. Wake him up, basically. Wake him up. And me being in that space saying, no, don't fucking wake me up like this. I'm creating this dream. This is me. I want to fly over here. I want to do this. I want to think this far. It was my time being broken down to where I knew that I had more time. I knew that I had more ability to fly. I started tapping into every little trick that I had to fly, because there's a lot of different things that you can utilize in order to fly in a dream. It's different for everybody, but touch, there's something like if you touch like cotton balls or something very light, or feathers or something light, that gets in your head and you become as light as what you're touching. That's one way to fly. Side note, I was in this kind of cotton field sort of experience to where I started feeling the details of this cotton, and I just would pick it up and then just kind of fly, and because that feeling was just so light, then you become light. Another thing that's easy, a lot of people do, is doggy paddle. You're like moving, like when you're doing this, you're moving, you're up. You start going up as you're doing this. It's just an action that makes you feel like you're moving up. So in this dream, I was doing everything in my power to maintain the focus, maintain my ability to fly, and it was this intelligence that was just completely against all of that. And I was pissed the fuck off. I was like, I am not having this. And I started yelling as I was being woken back up, because I knew I was being woken back up, not by me. Like, I had more time. I was like, it was like, I was pissed. And I started yelling, you know, like when like when you're getting arrested, like if you're in a protest or something like that and you're getting arrested, and like you have a purpose there or something like that, so you're like, fuck this, fuck the system, this is some bullshit. And like you want to let everybody know in the surrounding areas, like, your freedoms are being infringed upon. And that was all of the feeling that I was having as I was getting, this is another thing I was feeling, as I was getting louder and louder and louder in that dream. I had this sense of other people, not them, other intelligences around me hearing that. Just imagine if you're in like a stadium or something, and just imagine like grabbing the microphone and being like, fuck this, man, this is some bullshit, don't let them do this. This is what I was saying as I was waking up. And I woke up pissed off, and I remembered everything that happened. But this is what kind of pushed me over to the edge of realizing that our dreams are more than just dreams. Our dreams have not only creative abilities, but they have revolutionary abilities and evolutionary abilities that we can only tap into when we become more complex dreamers. And we can't become more complex dreamers until we let go of a lot of the complexities that we think are needed in the physical reality.